Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On The Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Orduna. This is my mom, Gina.
He is a journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
I'm always enthusiastic during the fall because it's football season. And I do have to say, Adam, I'm wearing all black for a reason.
Why are you wearing all black?
Because every team I rooted for went down this weekend.
Yes.
It was just like every game I watched was just torture,
So you're
torture,
wearing
torture.
black in
Yes, this is me being
solidarity
in mourning.
or mourning
Yes.
because the teams that you were going for did not perform well.
I'm
this
talking
weekend.
about from the pros down to my high school. Your little brother's team, 8th grade team, did win.
They
But other
did,
than
yeah.
that, it was
the one
just,
victory.
I mean, if you...
It was a tough weekend. If your team that you were rooting for this weekend in college or pros went down, there were a lot of upsets, which is what we predicted through Thursday's show, and that's what happened. There were some huge upsets Thursday night, and that just kicked off the weekend throughout.
It did. Well, we
Saturday.
actually did the show on Friday last week.
Right.
And so
We did,
Friday
we
night
did.
kicked
Yes,
off
that's
with
right.
Clemson. So we did this little game. You can go back and watch the episode where we went through the top 25 because every top 25 team was playing an unranked team. So we said somebody's going to lose.
Yes.
There will be some upset alerts, and we picked them. So the ones we picked that were correct, if I may. The Auburn LSU game, we picked that, and we were correct. The Miami and Georgia Tech game. Now, Miami did win, but it was by 1 point in the last seconds. Also, USC Utah, 1 point. We picked those as upset alerts. But then San Diego State and Boise State, we picked that. Boise State knocked them off. West Virginia, Texas Tech. I mean, those are the same teams. We had that as an upset alert. West Virginia did get the upset. Navy, Memphis. And
We
Memphis.
picked Memphis for that
Yeah,
game,
we
yes.
picked Memphis. Okay, the ones we didn't see coming, we knew there were going to be upsets, but there were
Yes.
some that came out of no, just haymakers. I did not see Cal taking down Washington State. I did not see that. I did not see Arizona State taking down UW. UW is playing so well. And the one that blindsided everyone in the known universe was Syracuse taking down Clemson. Number 2, Clemson, unranked Syracuse. And by the way, these are all unranked teams that took down ranked, but
Right.
unranked Syracuse, I think if you weren't an Orangeman, you didn't see that coming. Syracuse knew they could win.
Yeah.
None of us did.
The biggest surprise is the Clemson-Syracuse game. The Arizona State-Washington. Arizona State tends to have good teams. They've been good in the past.
But they've been unranked. They're not on
I
anybody's
agree with
radar.
that, but they've been good. They've got a legitimate program. Cal is always a legitimate team, and Washington State has been on the bottoms for a long time.
But
as
they
well.
were just
So
playing well. Yeah,
the biggest surprise to me in general was the Syracuse game. They got shut out last year, 56-0, and they also lost the year before, and that was at home in the Carrier Dome. But I don't think anyone, like you said, if you were a Syracuse fan, you were the only people that could believe that you were going to win that game. So that was the biggest shocker to me. All the other games were, hey, so-and-so won. Oh, it kind of was a surprise, but I'm not that shocked because both of those teams are pretty equal or at one point in time have been considered better than the other team. So to me, it's an upset because of the ranking, but I'm not that surprised. Now, the Washington State-Cal game was pretty big because of how much of a loss that Washington State only put up 3 points.
3 points.
So-
3 points. Mr. Pirate himself, I can design these
The
crazy
Wizard
offense.
yes.
Put up 3 points.
Yeah, so that, I guess that was a little bit more of a shocker to me as well. But that's going to continue to happen. There will be more ranked versus ranked games this week.
Right.
It was just kind of weird how it fell last week, how there were unranked teams playing ranked teams. Although the unranked teams, again,
should have been ranked normally.
A lot of these teams have been ranked and had a lot of good players come through their programs. But we're at that point in time now where you want to be ranked in the top 15 or higher than that as we are nearing the college football playoff rankings.
That's right.
And you want to be in that top 4 spot. You want to win as many games now. You can't drop any games. If you do, it's going to be tough for you to creep back up there.
Well, and I think speaking of rankings, the top 25 got a little shaken up.
Yes,
and
it did.
So let's go through.
Well, with Clemson dropping that game against Syracuse, they are no longer the number 1 or number 2 team. I think Alabama was number 1 for the most part
Right.
out of all the different
USA
polls.
Today threw Clemson
But
up there 1 week.
Yeah,
but,
so I'll run through these here. Alabama, and since we've been doing the USA Today poll, I'll kind of talk about
Just
them both.
throw them in there. Okay, perfect.
Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, TCU, Wisconsin, Ohio State are all
1 through 6.
AP, and USA Today, and then this is where it switches up. Clemson in the AP is number 7. Miami in the USA Today is 7. Then Miami is 8 in the AP, and then Clemson is 8 in the USA Today. Then you've got Oklahoma across the boards is 9. Then you've got Oklahoma State at 10 in the AP, and then you've got USC that has creeped back up there as 10 for the USA Today poll. Then you've got USC at 11 for AP, and you've got Okie State at 11 there. Then you've got Washington, who is 12 across the boards there. Then you've got Notre Dame and the AP at 13, and South Florida at 13 for USA Today. Virginia Tech is holding court for both at 14. Then Washington State at 15 for the AP poll. Then you've got Michigan, who is trying to continue to keep their name relevant. They are 15 in the USA Today. And then you've got NC State at 16 for the AP, and then Notre Dame actually at 16 for USA Today. South Florida in the AP poll at 17, which I think they should be ranked higher than that, but in USA Today they are. Then you've got NC State, who's doing pretty well, 17 USA Today. Then Michigan State at 18 for AP, and then Washington State at 18 for USA Today. And then you've got Michigan at 19, and then you've got Michigan State at 19 for USA Today.
Well, and then kind of the bottom is very close. 20 is UCF across the board. 21 is Auburn across the board. 22 is Stanford across the board. 23 is West Virginia across both. 24 for the AP is LSU, and I think it's Texas A&M is 24 for the USA Today poll.
Sure,
And then 25 is Memphis, and they have for AP, and they have LSU at 25 for the USA Today.
Sure.
So the top 6, like you said, are all the same, and there's a few. Number 9, you know, some of the votes are the same, but you can just see there's some nuanced differences between the two
There are
polls.
shakeups. There's a couple conferences that are elevating their game. There are a couple conferences that are kind of plateaued a little bit. The AAC is representing itself well with Memphis, South Florida, and Central Florida. Navy was in there last week. So the Big 12 is trying to keep their names relevant.
Right.
And so there are those conferences that are still rising as we still have some games left in this season.
Well, and as you can see in the middle, they both have kind of the same teams relative, but you know, you'll see like an A&M jump up.
A little
but
bit,
you know, you knew there'd be shakeups because they're going to be losses
after last week.
Well, speaking of shakeups,
okay,
let's switch to the pros.
Okay, yeah.
Our Chiefs. The Pittsburgh Steelers just have our number. I don't get
For some
why.
reason, right now they do. The last couple seasons they've been able to beat us, and it's been rough. But
our power ranking hasn't changed.
Correct.
I'll do number 1 through 5.
Sure.
You know what? Number 1 are the Chiefs. 2 are the Eagles. 3 are the Patriots. 4 are the Steelers. 5 are the Seahawks.
Yes, and then you got the Panthers at 6, Falcons at 7. You've got the Broncos at 8, the Rams at 9, and then 10. You've got Washington D.C. And then your team, the Texans, are still holding court. They're at 11.
Oilers.
They are doing really good. So Deshaun Watson, I think, has thrown the most touchdowns in the NFL or something like that.
Deshaun Watson is a bad
right now, so
young man.
Yeah,
because you know Aaron Rodgers is the bad man, but Deshaun Watson is a bad young man.
He's taking this league by storm, that's for sure.
Speaking of that bad man, you got some bad news.
Yeah, speaking of, exactly. Bad man, Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone in the game on Sunday against the Vikings. Anthony Barr hit him. A lot of people are talking about this being a dirty play, a late hit, etc. It wasn't. It was just a bang-bang play. And in football, when you're getting hit, there's always a chance for injury. And so Aaron Rodgers fell on his shoulder, broke his collarbone. Some people are saying that Anthony Barr drove him or drug him into the ground.
And threw his body weight on top of him.
Forced him onto his collarbone. And you can say whatever you want to. It was a tough hit. It was a hard hit. So Aaron Rodgers is now out. He has to get surgery. That's going to be tough for the Packers. And it's tough when you have one of your faces of the league like Aaron Rodgers.
And who is the backup? Didn't he come out of UCLA?
Yeah, yes. Brett Hundley, who was the UCLA quarterback, did a lot of good things for that school. I would have loved to have him on the Chiefs team. He is the backup, and he did really well coming in. The Packers did lose, but he's going to be a good quarterback in this league.
They'll be all right. Well, there's no longer any undefeated teams because our Chiefs, who were, were we 5-0?
We were 5-0, trying to go 6-0,
and we're now 5-1.
Yeah, so
but we're still number 1. That's all that matters.
We still are number 1 in the power rankings.
Well, and now there's still only one team that hasn't gotten a win because the Giants shocked us all.
Correct.
And went into Mile High and got a win against the Broncos.
They did.
It is really hard to win at Mile High.
The Giants,
and the Giants were able to go in there and get it done.
Odell Beckham,
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard. I don't know. I think he was was questionable. Brandon Marshall was questionable, and all those issues within that organization.
Going up there where you can't breathe, and they got to win.
It's a big win, yes. And then Adrian Peterson, first game out with the Arizona Cardinals. We all know he had his issues with the Vikings in the offseason, and then got signed by the Saints. It just didn't work out, and he had a breakout game, first game playing for the Cardinals, and they got a big win, and he had a big game.
You know what that shows you? Run with a chip on your shoulder.
Right.
Run with a chip on your shoulder.
Yep,
because
absolutely.
It's a violent game, folks.
It is.
You got to put your foot in the ground and won it.
And, you know, I think age is just a number. Carson Palmer's 37, Adrian Peterson is 32, and Larry Fitzgerald is 34. So, you know, those guys are still making it happen, playing at a high level. So, I think
when did the
was good.
30s become old?
I don't know. I just think
come on
football,
now.
it's easy to say that. In basketball, I think it's easy to say that. But 30s are not old.
Not
it's
old
not
at all.
old. Yeah.
Now I'm 47. It's starting to feel a little bit. I got you, but come on now.
Well, that's our update when it comes to college football and NFL football for this week. They just finished week 6 and week 7. Now we are week 7 and week 8.
Yep.
And it's going to be awesome moving forward. So.
Just for the record, my Chiefs lost, my K-State Wildcats lost, and my Huskers lost.
All right, folks. We'll see you.